Good evening. The crew of HMS Daring set sail for the Middle East today to help in the fight against terrorism. They'll be away for 9 months, as Richard Jones now reports.
Stores were going aboard Daring almost until the minute she sailed. For old hands, this is routine, but it's a new experience for many younger sailors on their first deployment overseas.
I'm nervous, but I'm quite excited at the same time. We've done a lot of work to get to this point.
It's going to be a great training opportunity for me, and I joined the Navy to see the world. That's what I'm going to go and do.
I think a lot of them are nervous and they don't really know what to expect because they've not spent that long away from home before.
It's going to be tough. I'm going to miss the whole of the school year pretty much, and almost the whole of my 7-year-old's football season as well.
Daring has various jobs during her 9 months in the Middle East. She'll be supporting the international fight against so-called Islamic State, tackling piracy and carrying out operations against drugs and arms smuggling.
Predominantly carrier protection, so looking after the carrier, as the Americans call it, riding shotgun for their CVNs, their nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, but also providing intelligence information for the aircraft that are flying from that aircraft carrier. So with the sensors and radars we have in Daring, we can work to give them an air picture out to about 300 miles.
She's the Navy's oldest Type 45, and all have had much publicised technical problems with their engines, especially in the heat of the Gulf.
We've been operating in the Gulf now with the destroyers for about the last 6 to 8 years, so we've got a good bank of experience of the best way to operate these ships to keep them going and keep on the operational front line.
Hundreds of people gathered in Old Portsmouth to wave goodbye to loved ones, including the family of sailor Amy Hanlon.
I know my mum's going to be crying her eyes out and I'm not going to be there to give her a hug, but I'm a strong one. She's strong. She'll be fine.
The hardest thing for me is not being able to talk to her, so it'll be hard. Longest time she's ever been away from home, so.
I know that it's good for what she's going out for, but it's going to be weird not having her around and not being able to speak to her.
Soon the time for a final goodbye came as Daring sailed out of Portsmouth. She won't be back again until the spring. If all goes to plan, HMS Daring will have a break over Christmas, and many of her crew will be allowed home to spend some time with their families. Richard Jones, ITV News, Portsmouth.
Other news, a man has been charged following the murder of 19-year-old Shana Grice. Her body was found at her home near Portslade last Thursday. 27-year-old Michael Lane will appear in court tomorrow morning. A pensioner charged in connection with a 40-hour standoff with armed police at Pagham near Bognor Regis has appeared before magistrates. Terry Bridger, who's 72 and from Harbour Road, has been charged with threats to kill, possession of a firearm, common assaults and threatening to damage property. Caroline Lucas, the MP for Brighton Pavilion, has been elected leader of the Green Party. It's her second spell in charge, but this time there's a difference, as Phil Hornby explains.
The Greens have a new sense of confidence these days. Ideas once dismissed by some as cranky are becoming mainstream. People who were once grateful to be just taking part in the political debate are now determined to win. They came here to Birmingham to elect a new leader who they hope can cash in on the green surge they had at the time of the last election. Lots of new members, but just one Member of Parliament, and she was the hot favourite to become leader for the second time.
Tell me, who are Budgers voting for in the party leadership?
I think they would vote for Caroline.
Who's going to win?
I'm not sure, but
Who do you want to win?
Caroline Lucas.
You know, she's just got this quiet, steady, powerful voice.
I haven't found anybody yet who hasn't voted for Caroline Lucas. Do you know anyone who hasn't voted for her?
I'm not sure I do. She's a very, very popular choice.
So the result when it came was no surprise, but this time she'll have a co-leader. She and Jonathan Bartley will job share.
A job share because it's a way of demonstrating very visibly that we want to do politics differently. For example, if you look at the House of Commons, you could hardly look at those green benches and say that the people there reflect modern Britain. We want to demonstrate that politics should be more open to more people. A job share enables Jonathan to be able to be part of this job share. He has a disabled son, so it's harder for him to be able to give 24 hours a day. And we've got a bigger point here about saying that the MPs should be able to job share too. It's a way of ensuring you get much greater diversity and equality in Parliament and probably better politics as a result.
Their first big decision, whether the Greens should work in alliance with other parties, including maybe Jeremy Corbyn's Labour, to take on the Tories. It's one of 4 party leadership contests in this crazy political summer. Theresa May's already won one, of course. In 2 weeks' time, it'll be UKIP, with the South East MEP Diane James one of the front runners. And a week after that, it'll be Labour's turn. But today belongs to the MP for Brighton Pavilion and the man she'll be doing a job share with. Phil Hornby, ITV News, Birmingham.
Now, thousands of people are being conned out of their life savings by scam mail. One pensioner from Waterlooville handed over £35,000. Kerry Swain has her story.
Please reply to me today, as I am very certain that I can help you within a very short time to achieve a win.
91-year-old Yvonne Richards receives around 40 letters like this every week. Widowed, lonely, she has responded to many of these scams.
Well, I just can't help it because the letters are persuasive, and it's always there was a lump of sum of money that you've won this, or the first 3 people get so and so, and I'd rush and get somebody to post my letters.
It's called mass marketing fraud, unsolicited mailings, emails or phone calls. Yvonne sent money for 2 years to a man claiming to be a clairvoyant.
And I was horrified when the Trading Standards Officer told me that there was no such person as Morgan T. Afterwards you think, well, whatever was I so silly?
From analysis of the victims we know about, the average age is 75. So there are clearly people out there targeting our most elderly members of society.
Yvonne ended up on a so-called suckers list after buying a kitchen blender advertised in a magazine. The National Trading Standards Scams team want legislation to prevent companies from sharing personal data and for mass marketing fraud to be given more status as an organised crime. Too late for Yvonne, who, since her husband's death 8 years ago, has lost £35,000 savings. Kerry Swain, ITV News.
Finally, stargazers are flocking to Sussex for a special festival this weekend. It's being staged at the Observatory Science Centre. Malcolm Shaw has been along to see what's on offer.
Wow, you have the power.
This giant telescope was built more than 100 years ago, but remains one of the largest of its type in the world. Today it's housed at the Observatory Science Centre in Hurstmont Zoo, the venue for a special festival this weekend, celebrating everything astronomical.
We wanted to bring astronomy really back to the public, and to do this we thought we'd do a festival, a whole weekend, where the car park is changed into a camping field and turn it into the atmosphere is just absolutely incredible, and it's got better and better as the years go on.
And there's a stellar lineup of speakers this year, among them Chris Jacobs, a scientist from the American space agency NASA. He travels the world synchronizing radio telescopes so they work together as one giant instrument.
With this power, we can pinpoint things in the sky and use it to navigate to places like Mars. We need to get the positions of galaxies out to about 9 decimal places in order to navigate to Mars. Our last Mars landing, we had to get in between a mountain and a crater rim. And $2.5 billion is on the line, and don't hit the crater rim and don't hit the mountain.
The Astronomy Festival is now in its 12th year and regularly draws visitors of all ages.
It's very good. It's good for the kids. There's lots of information going on.
The Discovery Park. Yeah, she likes the Discovery Park.
We've been coming here for about 10 years. I think we came to the second festival, in fact.
The copper domes of Hurstmont Zoo have been an unlikely landmark for almost 70 years. The Royal Observatory moved here from Greenwich when London's smoky air and bright lights made it impossible to study faint objects in the night sky. At its peak, over 200 people worked here at the Hurstmont Zoo Observatory, and staff were on duty every night to use the telescopes, if the sky was clear enough. And that's something stargazers will be hoping for this weekend too. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Hurstmont Zoo.
So what does the weekend weather have in store? With the details, here's Philippa Drew.
From cold fronts to camping, driving through Europe, Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Good evening. Well, things are looking fairly changeable over the course of the weekend, and we'll see just why in a moment. Back to tonight, though, a fair amount of cloud first thing, clearing away eastwards, taking any remnants of today's rain with it. Behind it, becoming drier with some clear spells. So tomorrow morning, not a bad start at all. Some good sunny spells around first thing. But as the morning wears on, thickening clouds starting to move in from the west, and that will work its way steadily eastwards across all parts during the afternoon, bringing a spell of persistent and perhaps heavy rain to some. However, it's not all bad news. That clears away to leave a drier day for Sunday and a very promising start to the new week.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
And that is all from us. We're back tomorrow just before 6:30 in the evening. But from me and from all of us here on the Late Team tonight, good night.